This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's sweetheart, Davian.
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy James.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit, Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Hi, this is Mitch Clarke, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the internet, the trusted choice for you all your favorite wrestling. Every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube, Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Talk. I'm, of course, your host, James J, and it's a great day for wrestling because we are wrestling with Mitch Clarke.
How's it going?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm doing well, just, getting ready for the weekend, all that good stuff, so I'm having a pretty good day, can't complain, and as you said, there's always wrestling available, so, it's a good day.
Hell yeah. Can you tell us what you have coming up, event-wise?
To be honest, it's just there's a bunch of stuff, so big ones are always getting ready for Top Talent Wrestling. They're at Midway Music Hall, great shows in Edmonton, Alberta. They're also on Triller, I think it is now. But those are tremendous shows. We packed that hall, and it's the production and everything has been going higher and higher. You usually check me out Real Canadian Wrestling, as well as, I'm trying to think what else I got coming up. Yeah, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu seminars, I got a couple coming up across Western Canada, and then I have Dark Match, the movie I starred in by Lowell Dean, coming out in the summertime, so make sure you keep your eyes open for that. It's got a bunch of great wrestlers, so.
Oh, yeah. And where can we find you on social media and your merchandise?
Right now, Mitch Clarke MMA on Twitter and on Instagram, and then it's the same thing on the Facebook fan page. And then merchandise-wise, usually I'm just selling stuff, at shows, depending on availability. Shirts, I don't sell them. I don't go on my way to sell them too often, but when I do, they sell pretty quick. So probably next one will be at the Top Talent show. I was thinking about doing a pro wrestling tees, but can't guarantee anything.
Okay. And you don't have to go looking for it. All of the links to all his social media will be in the description of the video below, or on YouTube and Castbox. If I do recommend following anybody, it would definitely be Mitch Clarke. He has one of the best Instagrams ever.
I unfortunately, I post less about myself, and it's usually about either my corgis or about, it's just random meme posting. So I'm a big fan of keeping social media keeping it fun more than anything. So just random memes that I find, and I like sharing them because I got them from somewhere else, so I might as well keep the train running.
Definitely, and I mean, when just looking, doing some research on your Instagram, I was just laughing the whole time.
That's good. That's the point of it. It's the point of having it up. Unfortunately, unless I'm posting about shows, no one knows I'm either a wrestler or former fighter or anything like that. And sometimes that's okay.
You're not wrong about that. Like you said, social media should be fun. But
yeah, I think so. I think it kind of sometimes gets construed into just people one-upping each other, or a lot of, behavior that just isn't fun and isn't great. Life can be vexing as it is, so why make it more complicated or harder than it needs to be?
You're absolutely right. But, let's get into it. You mentioned that you work for Real Canadian Wrestling and Top Talent Wrestling. Can you tell us about your relationship with those companies?
When I started with Real Canadian Wrestling a couple years ago, I had a good relationship with the promoter, Steven Washchuk, and he really wanted me to come over from the promotion I was in to that one. And what I like is they have a lot of shows that are happening. It's just you get a lot of more ring time, you get a lot of ability to work different people, and you get to kind of like really work on your game, as well as like he always brings in really good names, and you know, it's afforded me opportunities like working Gringo Loco, Luigi Prieto, the Pizza Dude. You know, it's met really good wrestlers. And like that's the great thing is you just like lots of opportunities are available, and that's probably the best part for me. You know, and Top Talent, I was training at the Top Talent gym for an amount of time, and I was working for another company, and then basically they had a show available, and I was able to get on it. The promoter, Harlan Abbott, you know, like he's kind of like, he's part of the brains, but like there's so many big moving parts, and it's like it's treated like a big company, and like, you know, certain people, even though Harlan Abbott is like he's a star on there, you know, we got guys working in the back. It gives you a really professional feel. They want professional results, and you know, like you have to talk to the higher ups basically in the back, kind of like over what's happening in the matches, all these different things. You know, like it feels like a real produced show, and that's probably the best part of it. And you know, it keeps growing because the product is just so good.
Well, keeping up with Harlan, you are the RCW International Tag Team Champions with them, which is a little bit of an interesting phrase there, considering that you are a member of the Radz, no?
Yes. So the storyline with that is I think it was the Family Jewels. I came out to do an open challenge, and the Family Jewels came out because they were trying to recruit me, and I was basically willing to fight anyone at any time or all of them. And Harlan Abbott came out to make sure I didn't go it alone, and you know, we won the belts from them. It's kind of a contentious relationship, just in that he has that Canadian title that I want, but at the same time, I like winning, you know what I mean? And I want to have more belts to the shelf, and then those tag titles look nice, you know. The rest of the Radz, they have the other tag title, so to me, it just makes sense that if, you know, a member of the Radz is controlling as many belts as possible, that's the big thing for me.
Okay, so Harlan will not be joining the Radz.
No, he will not be touching tips or shaking hips with the Radz.
Okay. That being said, can you tell us about your relationship with the other members of the Radz? Mitch King, T.Y. Jackson, Larry Woods, James Bell.
So, like, the thing is, basically all of us started in the same company at Monster Pro Wrestling together. T.Y. and myself broke in at the same time. Rich came shortly after us, and Larry was before myself and T.Y. It just kind of like all just lined up perfectly because we all were looking to expand as athletes, and it just worked out really well. We were always, like, whenever we go on road trips, we were always in the same car together. You know, in these types of, like, sport, you know, performance sports, whatever you want to call it, you know what I mean? It builds camaraderie unlike other sports because you're in charge, like, you're in charge of the safety of another person. That's a big deal, you know what I mean? And we built these camaraderie over these long road trips. We become really good friends. I've had them over to my house emceeing in Tales from the Undercard. But the big thing is, like, when we all left at the same time, we all wanted to work with each other instead of always working against each other, and it just worked out well. And the reason why, like, when you see us work, is the biggest thing that we compliment we get is very authentic, and it's because it is. We are friends with each other. We do hang out with each other. We do help each other. You know what I mean? And I think that's a big part. Is like sometimes we get these mishmash tag teams or stables and like they get along and stuff like that. But like there's not always that true friendship piece that's a part of it. And that's why ours is it works so well, why it's so authentic, is because, you know, we all work with each other, we're all friends with each other, and it's real, you know what I mean? And just with how we act, we're very similar to like the varsity club we used to see in WCW. You know, it's like we're all good athletes, we all work well together, we're all friends, we all clean up, you know, titles and wins.
Now, what's a pet peeve about all of the Radz that you just don't understand?
You mean like what do I like that people don't like about us?
What's a pet peeve you personally have with each member of the Radz? Not something you necessarily dislike, just don't understand.
I don't know. I feel like that's like just causing unnecessary drama. You know, for me, I don't know, like, I've never really thought about it. I guess, like, with GY, he's just with Larry Woods, and my biggest pet peeve with Larry Woods is he is essentially Ted Lasso as a real person. He's always so positive, always trying to, like, make sure everyone is doing awesome, you know what I mean? And that's, like, that sounds stupid when I say it, but the big thing is like, he will always put others before himself, and it's a real pain in the butt. You know what I mean? Dude's such a nice guy, authentically a great person, and I'd like to see him get bigger and more opportunities because he's such a good dude. I don't know, like, I really have no issues. Rich is like, I think has the ability to be one of the best technical wrestlers in the province, you know what I mean? T.Y. Jackson, I wish that people would see how good he is, you know. He's so talented. He's so good. You know, and I think sometimes people forget that he is a Radz or he gets lost in the shuffle, and I don't think that's fair because, you know, he had a match against John Morrison. It's one of the best matches I've ever seen live and in person. Judge Ben Owen, I think my pet peeve is that people don't know how good of a rep he is. They always talk about him as a manager, but he's probably one of the best referees I think that you can get out there. That's probably it. My biggest pet peeve with the Radz is people don't know how great a lot of the people are in it. You know, I think that's the big thing. Is my pet peeve is they don't have the exposure that they deserve.
Now, you know, keeping on the topic of the Radz, you guys did have, you know, a roller coaster of a 2023.
Yeah, that's fair.
And one of the main things that happened last year was the mandatory face tour that you did not actually take part in, no?
No, I was not a part of that, hence why I'm still through and through. I'm a heel, you know what I mean? You can't court order me nothing. You know what I mean? You gotta find me first. You gotta serve me those papers first. We're not playing pretend, you know, well we are, but we're not. You know what I mean? Like for me, you can't make me do nothing. I'm one of those kids growing up, I definitely had ODD, which is oppositional defiance disorder. You tell me to do one thing, I'm a stubborn, angry, bitter, old man. You can't make me do nothing. Court ordered or otherwise. I was not a part of that match. You can't make me do nothing. So, you know, they want to try it out. They're doing great on it. They're getting a good shine off of it. Not for me. You know what I mean? So I was not a part of that court-ordered appearance.
You dare more as the specialist to walk up to you and give you those papers.
Exactly. You know what I mean? You don't have the stones to give me those in person. I'm not doing anything you tell me in writing.
One of the more entertaining episodes of Tales from the Undercard will definitely be the Clarke family dungeon. Can you tell us about that episode?
So I can't remember if it was, I can't remember who it was, but it was definitely like everyone was trying to get into shape for the upcoming matches, you know what I mean? That tough match, I think, coming up against 7, I believe. So they came to the Clarke family dungeon. Everyone knows about the Hart family dungeon, but unfortunately no one knows about the Clarke family dungeon, where people are stretched, you know, the old school way, you know, back in the days where you can win a match with a headlock, you know, the like good, real, strong wrestling, the way it's supposed to be. No flying stuff, just good old, you know, moves that stretch you out. You know, that sounds terrible. But it's one of my favorite episodes. It definitely has a lot of like wrestling and wrestling with shadows inspiration we'll go with. Yeah, it's definitely, I had to pretend to be basically my grandpa with sweatpants up to my nipples, so it's a good time.
And then another memorable one was Radz Giving at your house.
That's probably, like, to be honest, Radz Giving is my favorite episode. I'm a big fan of, like, family get-togethers, you know, and, you know, friends are just family you choose. So having them over for Thanksgiving, and then Larry trying to stay over. Larry's notorious for trying to live in his car, so we're trying to prevent that, but at the same time, I'm not going to let him live with me. I got a family. He's not invited.
Right. And, you know, just a personal favorite one of mine is the one where you didn't want to work. Didn't want to wrestle that way.
Don't want to work tonight? I like that episode too. It has some of the most views, and I'm perplexed as to why. Probably because it's probably authentically me. It's a good episode. I think most of the time people are just entertained that I'm flipping the promoter's boobie. His name's Steven, so it's not like anything too bad, but it's just like, you know, it's just, we've all been there, you know, whether it's your 9 to 5 or otherwise, sometimes you just don't want to work.
You know, and I get it. And, you know, Ben, being the great manager that he is, never questioned it. He was just like, I get that. Let's get you out of this match.
He gets it, you know. He's got a shoot job. He doesn't want to go to work sometimes. Sometimes, you know what? I'm feeling kind of sore and banged up. So I'm not, like, if you can't give your best, why show up?
Absolutely. But when you do show up and you do wrestle, it's mostly W's. And the one name, you know, that sticks out the most is against Tom Lawler. Somebody I would imagine you would connect with very well. Can you tell us about that experience wrestling Tom?
That's one of my top matches. The funniest part was everyone, like, locally had tried to get that match, and Top Talent was the one that got that match to happen. It's super funny. Both of us were fighting around the same time in the UFC, and then we kind of, like, we split off. I went back to university. He has been killing it in the pro wrestling world. I went up in weight. I fought at 155. He fought at 205 and 185, and he's kind of like, he's trimmed up. He looks like a pure athlete through and through. We had a really good match, a lot of, like, very strong style type match. Great person, you know, just to deal with. Very good athlete. when I had met him in fighting, he was a very kind and nice dude as well. So basically being able to work him in pro wrestling, for me, especially with all he's accomplished so far, is just a tremendous honor. And the fact that, you know, I was able to get a win in that match and have a, you know, it's a pretty intense match. Like, it's on YouTube. It's, both of us were really banged up afterward. Both of us had been cut open through headbutts. You know, it's a crazy match, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
And another, you know, big name, catch wrestler that you wrestled was Timothy Thatcher. What was the experience wrestling him?
It's you know what? The biggest thing for working with him was he was a lot taller than I had expected. You know, he looked like on TV, he's always been ripped and that kind of thing, but he's a very tall individual. He's very talented. You know, so working him was a big deal to me because, you know, he's so active and he does so much stuff across the world, you know, in pro wrestling Noah, all across, you know, England and, you know, across the States. I didn't know. I thought he was British. I didn't know that he wasn't. Probably because, like, most of the shows I've seen him, he does stuff in Britain and that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, but like, I thought he was from there. But he's, you know, I think the world of him. He's very, very talented. You know what I mean? And being able to get a lot of mat work with him was a big deal. You know, especially because like he'd had some really good programs in NXT and Noah, all these bigger shows in you know, in Texas and that kind of thing. So it's very cool. You know what I mean? It's very surreal when you get to work people that you see on TV and think, you know, like when you look at the TV and say, damn, that dude's talented, you know, and then being able to work with that person, wrestle that person, I think that's just super cool.
And like I said, you know, you didn't only wrestle against these guys, you beat them. You know, obviously in hard-hitting matches.
Yeah.
What does it kind of mean to you, you know, for top talent to not only put you in these matches, but, you know, trust you to get the win as well?
You know, I think it just shows the faith in me. I think they see something in me that maybe not everyone has seen, you know what I mean? When I'm wrestling, it's, you know, you feel that fluidity that maybe you don't feel like, and before I started doing this new strength conditioning program, a lot of joint pain and all these different things going wrong with me, you know, just physically. Like after the Tom Lawler match, I had 2 compressed discs in my neck from a match just before the Tom Lawler match, and I could either have this dream match, or I could, you know, risk making this worse and hurting him. And I chose what I chose. I had a good match. You know what I mean? I'm not, you know, I'm not disabled from injury or anything like that. So I'm very lucky in that regard. But I don't think some people really understand how bad, like, before going into that match, I was in pain all the time. I had to sleep on my chair because I was getting, like, shooting stingers down my arm. But, like, this meant so much to me. And, like, I know as an adult it sounds really stupid to say that. But, like, there's so many times where if someone puts a lot of faith in you and you have to, you got to do it. You gotta go. You gotta, you know what I mean? Like, you don't get so many opportunities in life.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've been really lucky. I've had all these really cool opportunities happen to me, and you know, I tell people just say yes. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just gotta say yes. Obviously, if like I was scared that it was gonna get severely worse, I probably would have pulled out. But they put faith in me, and the way I show respect is by having the best damn match I can have, and show them that their trust, that their faith in me is seen and is worth it. You know what I mean? I'm super lucky that I have such a company that's I don't know what happened. I cut out. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. Continue.
I'm lucky in the sense that I have people that believe in me as an athlete, a person, et cetera, et cetera. So not everyone is afforded that, and my job is just to go out there and be the best I can be and show them that it's seen. There's so many super talented guys that never get seen, and that's unfortunate. There's just so many good wrestlers out there.
And the hard work is paying off. You are getting seen. You were on PWI's top 500. You won 278. What does that kind of mean to you?
It's really it's really surreal, just because I've seen that magazine in bookstores and all that other stuff, and to actually have my name in it it's weird. It's crazy, you know what I mean? Especially like the guys that I'm ranked above of. It's pretty crazy. So I just feel really lucky. I feel blessed is maybe another word that you can use, but the fact that I'm ranked in that, let alone so high, is just so cool to me.
Being on last year's 2023's PWI, is there maybe a number you're looking at to get to this year in 2024?
I'd like to break into that positive half, so to speak, into that first 250, so to speak, would be super cool. But just kind of like being on there, because I know a lot of really talented people that aren't on there at all. So just being on there to me is a big deal.
All right. And I mean, you're pretty close to it now at 278. So 250 doesn't seem like a far cry away.
Yeah, I just gotta keep this momentum up and keep going, and hopefully good things happen. You work hard, bad things don't happen. No bad things come from working hard.
Oh yeah. Now I think that's a great segue into Mitch Clarke's bizarre adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
Trying to think of one. There's all types of them, but I'm just trying to think of one where it doesn't get me canceled. I think. Oh yeah, I worked for this one company, and there's this dude who said he wrestled in the AWA. Obviously not true. And he had a match apparently with Crusher Carlson. He wasn't trained, steps forward, foot gets broken because he's stepping wrong, has a second match, and guy does an arm drag on the promoter and snaps his tib fib because he's in the wrong place. Oh yeah, it's awful. But it's all little stuff of you can see this stuff on TV all day, all you want, and that's fine, but that doesn't separate the fact that trained wrestlers know what they're doing and certain people do not. So he always has to make these appearances and try and do pep talks and all this other stuff. And I remember one time he came to one of that different show, and he came there to talk about bringing out some of the guys from there, specifically the Radz. And he also wanted to wish his wife a happy birthday, which is, that's great, and he starts singing happy birthday, um, to basically to the tune of Frere Jacques, which number one was just super odd. He had a cake, he was holding a cake, and he starts crying while he's singing this super off tune happy birthday, and all the fans don't know who he is, don't know his wife, don't know what's happening. And it was just the most bizarre thing I'd ever seen, is just the crowd's reaction to this old man that pretended to wrestle, that that is singing happy birthday off tune, and crying. You know what I mean? Like, as from the outside in, it just is the most like random assortment of weird things combined. But that's pro wrestling.
Yeah, I would definitely say that's a bizarre encounter, to say the least.
Totally.
Just kind of wrap my head around how he was singing happy birthday.
Like he's got the posture of like a croissant, so like he's just slowly hunched over this this microphone as he's like, he's got it so close to his face that he looks like he's about to eat it, so you can hear every like saliva drop that's moving in his mouth. It was just like think of someone about to do a solo in a grade 5 like talent show, and that's how they were holding the microphone, and he sang terribly and then cried.
Okay then.
So yeah, go pro wrestling.
Now, one of not every wrestler has this, but you are definitely one of them. You have a Wikipedia page. Have you seen it, and is there anything you find interesting, inaccurate, or accurate on that page?
For me, I haven't like I when it first came out, I guess I looked at it, I didn't make it. It's missing some of my MMA fight. It's missing most of my Thai fights, my Thai boxing fights. Didn't mention where I wrestled, you know what I mean, or anything that like I accomplished in freestyle wrestling. You know what I mean? It's I didn't start it, nor do I care to upkeep it. People can do whatever they want, you know what I mean? I haven't been on it in years. I'm a teacher, so kids always tell me that there is one. I don't look at it. I love me some me, but I'm not a narcissist to the point where I'm going to Google myself, because I find that asinine.
Well, obviously, if people listening, they're Mitch Clarke fans, so maybe you can update the wiki page, get all the facts straight.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that, because I feel he's kind of like, it's also a little douchey for me to go out there and kind of like start editing my own stuff. It feels weird. But, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm, at the end of the day, and I try not to use that word terminology, but I've lived a really, great life, and I've done a lot of cool things. I know that I did those things. I don't need, a random information page about me to basically tell everyone I did those things. I'm important. Look at me, because you do stuff for people. In the long run, you forget about yourself. I did those things. I know that I did those things, and those are big deal accomplishments. I've done some really cool stuff, but I no longer, and I used to feel that I need to, but I no longer feel the need to project all the time. I'm pretty happy with who who I've become, and the things I've done, and I don't need to tell others that.
Oh yeah. I think one thing does need to be added to that page, and that is that you have a hatred of Sega Genesis.
Yeah. I think I'm trying to think. After I beat Ally Kenta, and they asked me what I was going to do with my bonus money, and I said I'm going to buy some Super Nintendo games and buy some ice cream, and I did both those things. But and then someone asked me what my favorite Super Nintendo game is, and it's like,
it's Turtles in Time is probably my top game. Super Mario World is super awesome, and I love that game. Donkey Kong Country, all great things. But for me, growing up, nostalgia-wise, it was Turtles in Time. It's such Super Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Love them. Great game. But then someone's like, what about Sega Genesis? And I was like, Sega sucks. Like, that was made for adults. Like when you were kids, I didn't want to play Sega. Like, I was all about Super Nintendo. I was like, that's what I grew up playing, was Super Nintendo was my jam. You know what I mean? And it's just like, when you're growing up, you're either Team Sega or you're Team Super Nintendo. When you become an adult now, you're either Team PlayStation or Team Xbox.
And are you Team PlayStation or Team Xbox?
I'm Team PlayStation, you know what I mean? I got a PS5 the past year. I'm currently playing Spider-Man 2, super fun, you know what I mean? I just like the games I think also it's like when you get an Apple phone and you had it for a while, it's more familiar. That's why I probably stick to PlayStation.
Okay, I gotcha.
Also, it's got a 4K player in it, and I collect movies, so that's important.
Okay. Now, switching from pro wrestling, you have done a couple of movies as well. The one currently out is, I believe I'm getting the title correct, The Druids Hands.
Yeah, The Druids Hand. So that was a short film I did with a good friend of mine, Mitch Clarke. He's currently finishing a big production in Vancouver, directing wise. He was the director of this. That was a great one. I did some acting when I was originally in university, taking acting courses. I was taking it because it filled in my arts requirements. But I had a really good time doing that. I did dinner theater and all this other stuff, and then life gets in the way. Started a fighting career, but my friend Mitch Oliver was doing. He wanted to do an indie project before he moved to British Columbia, and asked me if I wanted to be in it because he'd seen me pro wrestle. He'd seen and he knew that I had done acting before, and I lucked out. I got into this. I got a good role in it. We won a bunch of awards, across North America, which to me is just like nuts, and it gave me the acting bug back. So I'm trying to keep my feet in the acting pool, so to speak, a little bit at least.
And you currently you have one coming out in the summer, right?
Yeah, so Dark Match is a Lowell Dean movie. Has Jonathan Cherry, Stephen Ogg, Chris Jericho, a lot of really Sarah Canning, I think is her name. Anyways, her name's Sarah. She's great. She's been in a bunch of really good stuff lately. But I got really lucky. They did an open casting call. I applied. I did a couple of auditions, and I got in. I got a principal role in this movie, so I'm really looking forward to that coming out, and hopefully it turned out okay. Not a total hack job.
That's awesome. Like, what kind of were the differences? How does it kind of make you feel, like the differences between the Druids Hands? You were kind of offered this role, but
Yeah.
in this one, you actually you had to fight and grind for it.
Yeah, it definitely, makes you more appreciative and maybe put a little bit more faith in yourself as well, just because you had to fight for it, so to speak. You had to earn it, instead of just, nepotism, which is, how I got the first role. But, it just, it kind of puts that idea that you might be a fraud. I think a lot of actors probably deal with that, is that like there's a little bit of identity like that you're scared of, right? Like, am I good enough? Can I be this thing? And then there's people that would just have it all the time, you know what I mean? So confidence can sometimes be the best thing you can put in yourself, and it definitely adds into you being being able to give your best performance, the more confidence you have, and knowing that you had to beat out a bunch of people to get there definitely gives you that confidence to try and be the best you can, So I feel really lucky. Once again, I know maybe I'm just, I got a golden horseshoe up my butt or something like that. I just seem to be right place, right time, and seem to be a lot of really good things happen to me. I surround myself with good people. That's a big deal too. And, I believe that, you put your mind to stuff, you can achieve big things, you know what I mean? And it just is just dependent on the hard work you put in. Surround yourself with good people, work hard, and be willing to learn and be coachable. And, I think sky's the limit.
Now, was there anything you took from pro wrestling that you applied to your acting, and vice versa? Was there anything that you learned in acting that helped you in pro wrestling?
In the pro wrestling over to acting is the importance of physicality, the importance of the physical body being able to move. You know what I mean? Like, not beat up actors, because they're usually pretty tiny. But just like your body being able to move and being able to say something without saying anything, but saying it with your body language was a big thing. And then from acting back to pro wrestling, is that everything doesn't need to be so much larger than life. Fans, if they're engaged, can pick up on subtle things. You know what I mean?
Right.
This isn't 1987 where you got everything's got to be so much bigger, larger than life, be Andre the Giant, so to speak. It can be subtle things you do with your body, with your face, and these things can make the fans do notice. They're not idiots. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're engaged. If they're engaged and they're watching you, they can see these little things. And that was a big thing that I took back from acting and bring it to pro wrestling.
Now, was this for acting you learned to ride a horse, or was that just something that you wanted to do?
So after I was done Dark Match, I started working with a place called Stunt Garage, which is they do a lot of stunts and stuff like that, and started to learn how to do stunt work and that type of thing for movies. And then, but in that in between, I had talked to Jean Frenette, who is a fight coordinator that has been in a ton of movies, has worked for a ton of movies, and I got to work with him. And he said, "Learn how to ride a horse." So like it's still a work in progress, because like you can't just do 10 lessons and expect to be able to learn. But like like it just gives you a ton of respect for the animals themselves. They're huge animals, and they're like they're so majestic. It's pretty nuts, you know what I mean?
What?
And kind of scary.
You'll just stick to corgis as pets for now.
I'm good with, I feel like I can't afford a hay burner for a horse, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they're expensive animals. I'll stick with the tinies with their stumps, so for now.
All right. Now, let's get into the colossal question. Let's say they're making a movie about you. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first 3 songs on your movie soundtrack?
Let me just take a look. I think you definitely got to have some Electric Light Orchestra, for me at least. Don't Bring Me Down by ELO is always a solid pick.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying not to open up my something classical. I love Vivaldi. Autumn. Vivaldi's Autumn Concerto is one of my favorites. And then I'm trying to think offhand. Wild World by Cat Stevens is a recent one, and it was I like that one because it dealt with like one of my moments in my life, you know what I mean, where there's a bad breakup, and it was very, very fitting, that song. And then I'm going to add an extra from the Ballad of Buster Scruggs is when a cowboy trades his spurs for wings, kind of at the end of my fighting career, which I found fitting.
All right. And I commend you for doing that off the top of your head and not pulling up Spotify.
I was thinking about I didn't want to risk losing you again, so I was I made sure that I was going to just do it off the top of my head. As much as I'd love to open YouTube or even my Apple Music.
All right. Now that we got the soundtrack down, then we write the script, and then we go to casting. Who plays Mitch? And you can't say yourself because you were obligated to make a Stan Lee-esque cameo.
Oh, fair. That's fair. Man, I'm trying to think. It's got to be someone with a good beard. I think that's an important thing to me. Someone who looks kind of old and kind of ragged. I'd probably go with like Josh Brolin if he's still alive at that time. I love me some Brolin.
Okay. Got Thanos playing Mitch Clarke.
Dude, it's either him or Danny DeVito.
Wow, that is a stark contrast.
Hey, you just gotta let him run with it. It's his character. He can do whatever he wants with it.
Now that we have Mitch casted, every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be 3 people significant to you in your story that would be in your movie, and who would play them?
I'd want T.Y. Jackson in there. I'd probably go with Michael B. Jordan.
Okay.
I think that's a good pick. I feel like I'm just going to do the Radz just so I don't miss out on all these other important people. You know what I mean? So I'll go with the Radz because there's wrestling in it. They're important people. What's his name? The dude, Jason Sudeikis, to play Lumberjack Larry Woods.
Okay.
The dude who plays Ted Lasso, I feel it fitting. For Rich King, I'm trying to think who would I get to play Rich King, because they got to have a good beard game too. You know, it's Chris Hemsworth.
Okay.
Yeah, and then for Judge Ben Omen, Chris Pine.
Okay. Definitely a lot of big names. It's going to be a blockbuster for sure.
Yeah.
And you could pre-order the tickets now.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? You know, and then who's the dude from The Mummy? Fraser.
Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, I'd like Brendan Fraser, but like in the same makeup from The Whale to play the promoter for Real Canadian Wrestling.
All right. Now onto a controversial subject. Pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
Dude, I deal with kids. I'm a teacher. I get this question all the time. For me, I feel like pineapple on pizza, Nickelback, and Nicolas Cage, it's all the same thing. In that people want to rag on them real bad when they're not that bad, but it's fun to do. For me, it's fine. I don't care, but I understand the perspective. You're combining sweet with salty. I can't fault you for that. It's not for me, but some people like it.
So you waver more on the anti rather than pro?
Yeah, I'm kind of like I'm close to the middle of just being agnostic when it comes to pineapple on pizza, but overall, you know, let your freak flag fly. You know, whatever rocks your boat. You know what I mean? For me, do your thing. You know, I think the real people that are bad are the ones that put like other types of weird vegetables on their pizza. They're monsters. You know, I saw a person put peas on pizza. You're just a bad person if you do that. You know, trying to think. Yeah, overall, like you put weird stuff on pizza, you're a monster.
Okay. Pineapple? Okay. Peas on pizza? No.
Definitely a no.
Okay. What's your spirit Pokemon?
Dude, I'm a Gen 1, so like, cause I'm old, so I'm a Gen 1 dude. I'm gonna go. My spirit Pokemon would probably be Blastoise, to be honest.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's my dude. Big, mean looking, wets his pants, all the same.
Now, we love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show. Do you know the acronym for Thug? THUG.
I don't. Can you
Yes.
tell me?
T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail. Cause a Doug can't spell.
I love it. I love it. That's great.
Yes, we love the late great Tracy Smothers, trying to keep the memory alive on the show.
I appreciate that.
Now, weirdest question you'll be asked on a wrestling interview. Would you ever consider wrestling a Rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual physical Rock.
Dude, I think I would. I think if you're good enough, you can have a match with a broomstick with a knee pad on it. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Like, if you're good enough, you can make it happen. Like when I wrestled Luigi Primo, I wrestled his pizza half the match. I threw him out of the ring and just wrestled his pizza. You know what I mean? It's online. I think you can make stuff happen if you're a good enough entertainer. I'll wrestle Rock if I get paid enough and get to do it.
Well, just for context, there's a wrestler named Psycho Mike that wrestled a Rock for over 15 minutes in a Tungsten Man match. That's an Iron Man match that lasts for 2 weeks.
Okay, like, and that dude's talented. I've watched him work. He's good. Obviously, he's able to, you know what I mean? He's going to be able to have a good match.
And he for sure had a great match with a Rock. Alright, on a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, I wrestle because I like wrestling. I'd love to be that guy who's like, I'm going to be in the big show. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Who knows? You get scared that you're kind of like at that age where you're too old to be able to do stuff like, especially like NXT, that kind of thing. And that's whatever, for me, I'd love to be able to wrestle somewhere cool at least once. Be able to do one of those cool matches somewhere fun. That's really all I'm after. I'll keep wrestling, because I like doing it. And when it's not fun anymore, I'm not going to do it. That sounds like Effie brought it up to me. And he's just like, you have to do this because you love it. And because it's like, wrestling's not for everyone. You know what I mean? Not everyone can do it. Not everyone can put their body through all this other stuff. So for me, I'm going to do it till, it's not fun to do anymore. And, for me, I do it because I like it. And I get to hang out with my friends and do cool stuff, So like for me, in 5 years, I've accomplished those goals that I had, I wrestle cool people, which we went through that list. I've wrestled some really cool people. And I just want to be able to wrestle some cool places. That's all I'm real after. I'm not greedy.
And what is a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what you are all about?
I'd probably go with, that match with Tom Lawler is one of my favorites because there's a lot of grittiness, and I didn't tell anyone that I had, I was pretty messed up before that match. That's why I'm so emotional at the end of it. Timothy Thatcher's a good match. There's one between myself and Harlan Abbott in RCW, crazy 20+ minute match. You know what I mean? You find something. I always feel like I'm not going out there to have bad matches. My match with Gringo Loco was super cool. But if I'm gonna pick one, it's gonna be Tom Lawler.
And we could find that on YouTube, correct?
Correct.
And you don't have to look for it on YouTube. The link to the match will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. For anybody that hasn't seen it, wants to see it, wants to re-see it after this interview. And since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom.
Dun, dun, dun.
This is our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
I guess so. I'll do my best.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Oh, Macho Man Randy Savage.
Worst wrestler.
Goldberg.
Your main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Probably Roman Reigns.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
I thoroughly enjoy Razor Ramon's music.
The WWE one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, low-key, a great song, honestly.
Oh, so good.
Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
Dead.
We would have also accepted taste great on toast.
Fair enough.
Squash. Vegetable or fruit?
It's technically a fruit, I believe.
And you would be correct. It has seeds.
It is an ovum, which has the seeds in what we eat. So yeah.
Yeah. New Japan wrestler Tai Chi. His ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question: what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
50-50.
So 50,
You gotta have half and half. Half and half, man.
There you go. And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
No, I can honestly say not. I also try not to talk to fans too often if I can help it. It kind of like kills that mystique, even though I said kayfabe was dead. I can honestly say that it has never come up, and nor do I ever want it to be a thing.
And that's the correct answer. That will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for having me. It was fun interview. Ask different questions, you know what I mean? Like, which is super, super cool, you know what I mean? Especially with fighting and stuff like that. I had to do so many interviews where it's just cookie cutter, same crap every time. So it's nice that it's fun to do these where you're answering different questions, different opinion stuff, having fun, you know what I mean? And that's the key with these is like people like it better when you can tell the person who's being interviewed is having a good time.
Oh yeah, and that's what we strive for on the show. We'd like to keep it interesting for our guests, which makes it interesting for our listeners.
I like that. No, you do great stuff, man.
I appreciate it. And once again, where can we find you on all things social media?
Just Mitch Clarke MMA. I tried changing it on the Facebook page. It wouldn't let me, so I don't know. And also, like, I'm functionally an idiot at times with computers, so I don't want to mess with anything.
Right. And merchandise is when it's available at events.
Yeah, at events, you know what I mean? You gotta have a little bit of demand. Supply and demand's a thing. So.
Yes. Well, you don't have to type it into your Google machine. All of the links to all his social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox, simply click the link. A new tab will appear on whatever device you are on. You have no excuse. Give him a damn follow. And when he gets merchandise, buy a damn short.
I appreciate that, man. Some people, they survive on wrestling, so the fact that you plug us and that kind of thing, that's a big deal. And, in lieu of of my merchandise, I always say support the Radz. You know what I mean? It's on Rich King's, and then also I think it's on Pro Wrestling Tees. There's a Radz shirt. You know what? It's a nice pink shirt. Support the Radz. I think we got some like foam fingers left too, so check those out.
And I could absolutely put the link to the Radz Pro Wrestling Tees store in the description of the video below.
There we go. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment. But on YouTube and Castbox, this was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. Join us next Tuesday and Wednesday for new incredible interviews. Follow the show at Wrestling with E, both on X, Thread, and Instagram. For information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesJ913. Alright, when I say wrestling with, you say entertainment, okay?
Yes.
For our race special guest Mitch Clarke, Coleco Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.